Togo Mgr Philipe Fanoko Kpodzro, political exile until death. Is this Faure Gnassingbe's plan? Census of citizens in Togo. No thanks. Not in a 60-year dictatorship. A dictatorship that no longer has anything to prove its cruelty and incongruencies to anyone, in Togo or elsewhere. Stop making fun of people after stealing their pride in being human. The right to refusal is one of the few privileges that exist to Togo citizens. Let's dare to exercise and recommend this right in this country of non-choice and non-law. Let us dare our dignity. Pierre Adjété, Canada, the 28th of October, 2022. Neither his old age, almost 93 years old, nor his service to the nation, nor especially his prelate status, have in no way deterred them from reserving him such treatment. Mgr Kpodzro, choosing the side of the opposition, therefore of the people, to denounce the dictatorship, malgovernance, massive embezzlement of public funds, the many violations of human rights, and ask for a little more freedom and democracy for its people, had become persona non grata on his homeland, like many other Togolese citizens, civilian as well as military, ordered to an early death, prison or forced exile for their political views. Having been at the base of the coalition that bears his name, bringing together several political parties of the opposition and civil society associations, Philipe Fanoko Kpodzro was the sponsor of the DMK, dynamic Mgr Kpodzro, and above all of Mgr Kojo, who represents the colors of reunification in the February 2020 presidential election. Apart from the fact that the prelate's call to support his candidate against the candidate of power to end the dictatorship does not belong to a certain fringe of the opposition, for the Gnassingbe regime, in any way. My Lord Kpodzro and you have become the black beast. Dictatorship regimes, like the one we have in Togo, do not like those who sincerely oppose their rule and genuinely fight for their departure. Trouble of all kinds exercised around his person after the 8th electoral hold-up that made Faure Gnassingbe president of Togo for a third term, led Mgr Kpodzro to leave his country at his defending body in the months following the famous presidential elections, that is at the very beginning of the year 2020. So it's been more than 2 years since the former president of the Sovereign National Conference held in July and August 1991, over 92 years, wanders around the world, while those who have taken the Togolese hostage for more than half a century, see continue at drinking some milk without worrying about anything. Early October 2022, Mr. Gilbert Bora, a minister of the Togolese government, gives an interview where he mentions the Mgr Kpodzro case, stressing that, according to him, the prelate would not be threatened by anyone, that no legal prosecution wouldn't be committed against him. He doesn't understand why he is in exile and that he could return to live in Togo without any problem. First of all, we would like to politely refresh the memory of the unconditional minister Faure Gnassingbe that my Lord Philipe Fanoko Kpodzro did not feel safe in Togo before he was forced to take the path of exile to save his skin. In the aftermath of this election masquerade, the prelate, as Mgr Kojo, had continued to denounce the false results attributed to the candidate of power by holding press conferences. For example, he had begun to stir heaven and earth for the whole world to know what is happening politically and above all humanely ineligible in Togo, and it was to prevent him from carrying out his activities that his home was watched by police officers, night and day, like milk on the fire. My Lord Philipe Fanoko Kpodzro was no longer free from his movements. He could no longer come and go as he pleases. One day he managed to fake company with his jailers posted in front of his house to go to town, with the intention of visiting some chancelleries. When the gendarmes on duty at his home noticed that the prelate was not there, it was without cleaning that he was picked up at the German embassy and brought home. During his speech on the occasion of Faure Gnassingbe's inauguration for a third term, Abdou Souma, the immovable president of the Constitutional Court infested with dictatorship power, threatened to apply the law to Mgr Kpodzro, no matter how old he is, even on a stretcher. There were other forms of aggression, restriction and especially threat to the physical integrity and life of the man of God that we cannot return to here. Here, Mr. Bora, some ailments that come to repair your forgetfulness and place those who don't know, don't want to know, or still doubt the reasons behind the forced exile of an almost 93-year-old man. Are we ever too careful in a country like Togo where terror and state crimes against critics or opponents of the Gnassingbe regime have become banal, where a wild accident or isolated shooting of an uncontrolled element of an army, not so Republican, is quick have you arrived? And let's remind, always in the direction of Minister Bora, that all the victims of political assassination or enforced disappearances recorded in Togo since the fight against the dictatorship began, were not prosecuted at all judicial. Certainly, Mgr Kpodzro is not the only Togolese opponent in exile or in prison. Faure Gnassingbe's half-brother, Kpacha, for example, has been crumbling for several years with unstable health, not forgetting all the others. But the status of Philipe Fanoko Kpodzro, added to his service to the nation and especially to his old age, should not be neglected in a republic that respects itself. This is why we do not believe that despite the political animosity that may exist between the prelate and those who lead Togo today, letting him end his days in exile is the right way, politically, and above all humanly. I'm talking about it. How, honestly, is the old prelate a threat to Faure Gnassingbe's regime today? Why not organize his return to the country with all the guarantees for his health, and especially for his safety, as the men and women of heart know how to do? Or, for the Gnassingbe regime, political power is and still really remains a matter of life or death. Let us not forget the judgment of future generations and especially history, which risks being ruthless. Chijobo Youth Germany.